What's up, guys? Starling Nova here, and I was going to talk a bit about Analogue and the Super Nt, which was recently announced a couple weeks ago. I was a little late to the party. But anyways, essentially what this is a clone console of the Super NES. And it's not your average run-of-the-mill clone console either. It's engineered with the latest Alteria Cyclone 5 FPGA board, which closely resembles and replicates the Super NES original hardware. That's what their intention is. No emulation. This is closely resembling playing on what it was like playing on your original Super NES, which is a big plus, because if you didn't know, with emulation there can be a lot of graphical issues maybe, or audio issues that you experience. It's not 100% perfect, not always. 1080p, zero lag, which is saying something right there, because with a lot of modern day televisions today, as you know, the higher resolution you go, the more input lag is introduced. So if they can achieve that, that's great, but also factor into the count that your TV has to have good input lag as well. But that's a whole nother ball game right there. But total accuracy, total accuracy. So it plays 100% all the Super NES and Super Famicom games all in one. So it should be compatible with every game in the library pretty much. And that's awesome. So that means you have, because if you're anything of a collector of Super NES and Super Famicom games, or Super NES games, it's a lot more expensive in America than it is collecting the Super Famicom Japanese version equivalent. So it's nice that it plays both. So if you're just getting into Super NES collecting again after all these years, you'll have a cheaper alternative with some games. And that right there is pretty good off the box. And it's all introduced at a price of $190. Now you're thinking like to yourself, that's pretty expensive. It's actually not that bad. That's actually really cheap. For me, anyway, in my honest opinion, under $200 is a good price. I mean, considering what the NT Mini was, which was their fancier NES version of the console, which retailed for, I think it's on the bottom here. Yeah, it retailed for $450 for the Mini Classic, the classic version, or $500 for the black version. That's a shit ton of money right there. compared to the Super NT. So they cut the price down immensely, mainly because they're not using an aluminum shell, or the FPGA boards have gotten cheaper, I'm sure, and they're able to use, I don't think it looks bad, and they call it a higher quality plastic, as they tout it and stuff, and I can believe them. I mean, judging by the presentation they had with the Analogue Mini, the NT Mini, which was really, really a nice console. It's like the Cadillac of NES consoles. I mean, if you really were delving into hardcore SNES games and collecting, and you want to have the best experience playing your NES games on the modern TV, this was the way to do it, because it supported both NES games as well as Famicom games and Famicom Disk System. So you had the best of all worlds there to play this. This was the best way to do it. And if you didn't mind shelving out what price it was, this was the best way to do it. They had cheaper alternatives, but if you wanted to have the best experience, this was the way to go. And the same thing can be said for the Super NT. You're gonna find cheaper alternatives, but they're not gonna be as high quality as this. They're not gonna be as 100% accurate, 100% authenticity here of trying to replicate the original hardware as this is, because Analogue is a reputable company when it comes to making good hardware. And this is what you get. You get 3 different styles. You have the black, and you have the classic, which is the American look that we grew up with here in America. Not everybody likes this design, but it's okay. Then you have this Super Famicom look, which is what the Japanese equivalent of the console, and it looks pretty nice. This is the version I got. I like the look of it. And you also have a transparent look, which these are great too. I mean, I've always been a sucker for see-through controllers and handhelds and stuff, so this is pretty cool. These are nice options. But you also come with, it also comes packaged. You get the console itself, Super Turrican, the director's cut, and this is, if you didn't know, Factor 5 did release Super Turrican on the Super NES, but it was the 4 GB card. This director's cut is the 16 GB card, which actually, or not 16, 6 GB card. But it comes with cut content that wasn't included, like an extra stage, some music, and stuff like that. But you also get Super Turrican 2, so you're getting both Turrican games, and you get an original SNES style box for Super Turrican Director's Cut. But see how these say they're both digital versions. Now it doesn't tell you on here, but these consoles, just like the NT Mini, have an SD card slot on the side or something here that will is used for firmware updates and stuff like that. That's probably, if these say digital, that means they're probably installed on that card or somewhere internally on the system itself. I don't know. But it's not a physical. But regardless, whether it's physical or digital, that's it's nice to have 2 games packaged in the console you're buying. I mean, you don't even get that with modern consoles today, so with brand new console releases. So it's a nice plus right there in my book, whether it's digital or physical. You got the HDMI cable, yeah, that's important. USB cable, and the World by USB power supply, which is nice. It's a nice touch. You don't, it doesn't say in here, you don't come with the controller. Even though you see these pictured with the controllers, you have to buy these controllers separately if you want to have it. Or if you have your original SNES style controllers, as you see, it has the same kind of port, so you can actually plug in your old Super NES controllers. They'll work fine. Or any clone controllers that you have equivalent, they'll work just fine. But one thing you can do is that Analogue partnered with 8-Bit Do, which is a really reputable company, I'd say, when it comes to making really good wireless controllers. And they do them from various machines. And I can speak from personal use that I have an earlier model of the SN30 Super NES style controller, which it's really good. I mean, it almost feels like a Super NES controller did back in the day. I mean, the D-pad is great. That's a big gripe for me because I'm really into platformers like Mario and Mega Man and stuff. So the D-pad on the Super NES is really important, and that's something a lot of clone consoles tend to have issues with. Another thing is the L and R buttons can be kind of clicky too much on other clone consoles. They're kind of clicky, at least on my 8-Bit Do, but they're not bad. Basically, all the buttons work great. The D-pad is phenomenal. These are really high quality controllers if you want to go the wireless route and have, spend the extra $40 to add on to your cart. These are really good controllers, and I can't recommend those enough, so from personal experience. So that's a good plus. That, and in fact, if you didn't want to spend that, you don't have to. You can just buy a cheaper wired controller and have them plugged in. The benefit of having one of these, though, is they not only come with the controller, but the receiver as well, so you can play them on any. They work on your original Super NES as well, not just the Super NT. So you can use them for multiple uses, and PC as well. So if you prefer emulation on your PC. But I think this is a great design. If you really want to delve into retro gaming, it's a big market. I have a huge resurgence. So if this is something that's up your alley, if you're hardcore into it and you really want to jump into collecting Super NES games again, it can be pretty expensive, but this is a nice alternative because it can support both Super Famicom and SNES. So if you can actually get the cheaper alternative, a good example is Mega Man X3 is really expensive in America versus the Super Famicom version, the Japanese version. So you can actually get that and play that just fine in Japanese. You don't need to know, there's not much text involved, so you can play the game just fine that way. But this is nice. This is a nice way the best way, if you really want to get the best Super NES clone console. This is up your alley. If you're one of those, in the hardcore market, this is the one to get. If you're a casual gamer, you just want to collect here and there, and you don't care about preserving the best aspect ratio, you don't care about having the image stretched out, whatever, then you can get one of the lesser models that are under $100 or so, and you'll be just fine. You don't care about the audio or whatever. It's little slight audio glitches or whatever. It's not bad. But if you're someone like me that wants to have the most authentic experience, the most accurate you can get, both sound quality and graphical quality, this is your console. But Anyways, that's just my 2 cents. I hope you guys liked the video anyways, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.
Summer in the hills, those hazy days I do remember. We were running still, had the whole world at our feet, watching seasons change. Our roads were